Ichigo awakens by Talach in Chapter 36, The Last Memories, Lost Memories, Karakura Town Shopping Plaza. This is going to take some looking into. Kiski's words echoed in the mind of the hybrid. I have an idea of who's behind this, but nothing definitely yet. I'll try to find any record of the girl you're talking about. For now, Ichigo, you are to keep an eye on this Senna girl. His father and captain ordered. Until further notice, she's a person of interest. See if you can find anything out. Ichigo made his way back into the plaza carrying a special ribbon Uryu made that was able to serve as a tracker for those familiar with its reissue trace. Now let's just hope she actually stuck around. Ichigo muttered to himself, looking around the crowd of people, some browsing, some eating, some watching stage performances, and nothing too out of the ordinary. Ichigo! He heard his loyal mod soul call out to him. He looked up to the second level to see Senna and Kon in his body watching for him. You're back, Kon said with a smile. Everything's okay around here, LT. And Senna beamed as Ichigo jumped up to them and returned to his body. I found this really nice ribbon, and Kon wouldn't let me have it, she said with a pout. Ichigo raised the quizzical eyebrow at the girl. Did you have money to buy it? Ichigo asked, making the girl chuckle nervously. Ichigo sighed as he pulled out the silk ribbon Uryu made him. Here, he offered, taking the yellow ribbon out of her hair. Arthur'd see like sewing and made this. He handed her the new ribbon. She gasped in delight before trying her hair with the new ribbon. Oh, I love it, she cheered, looking at herself in the window. How do I look? And she asked, getting right into Ichigo's personal space. He blushed hard at the sudden closeness as he looked at her and the ribbon. Yeah, he turned away, still blushing hard. It looks cute. Senna looked puzzled and backed away before adopting a mischievous smirk. Fall in love with me, huh? She teased the blushing hybrid. Before he could protest, she took off, running away. If you catch me, I'll go on a date with you, Ichigo, she sang, getting a head start on him. What does she run on? Ichigo groaned, feeling exhausted from chasing her around all day. He went after her as she disappeared into the crowds. He almost lost track before he used the spare threads from her ribbon to find her, standing on top of a building that was a focal point for the hanging lights. Soon everything went quiet as all eyes turned towards her and the lights turned on. She began walking on the cables like a tightrope. Ah, crap, he cursed, looking around the crowd to make sure no one was watching him. Taking a breath, he disappeared with Hiranyaku and brighter light, reappearing behind Senna as she was a foot out on the cable. Not taking the same risk, he created a platform of Reitsu under his feet and mimicked her feet. Just as she was falling off the side, he caught her hand and spun her back up onto the cable. The crowd gasped and applauded, thinking it was just a show. Huh, what? She asked before looking at Ichigo, noticing the glowing footholds beneath him. You cheater, she said, puffing her cheeks into an adorable pout. Then she brightened up as she began to sway. Soon she started dancing, pulling Ichigo into her rhythm as someone started playing music. She giggled as she continued to dance. Ichigo soon joined in to simply avoid falling. Drop and Shumpo, she whispered before letting go, disappearing in a flow of autumn leaves. Ichigo followed suit, tracking her easily. Ta-da! And she cheered, standing on the pedestal amongst the crowds, with the hybrid next to her. The crowds let out their applause as Ichigo dragged her away from the limelight. Food court. That was entirely reckless of you, Ichigo scolded as they took the time to eat. The city is known for several spiritually aware people. You could have exposed things they weren't ready to understand. It's fine, isn't it? Senna mumbled, pouting while eating her sandwich. They just thought it was part of a show. Not the point, rookie, Ichigo growled before calming down. Just be careful for now. Something big is going on. This caught Senna's attention as she watched Ichigo. These strange souls are called blanks, and some group is using them to find something called the Shienju. Who's using the blanks? She asked, continuing to eat. We don't know yet, Ichigo told her. We have someone scanning the archives, so we'll find out soon enough. And this Shinen thingy, what does it look like? She asked again, leaning back in her chair. Ichigo that for a moment. Urahara did say it was known as the Metal Rock, and a stone of some kind. Ichigo mused to himself, trying to come up with an idea of what he was looking for. But he also said object, implying that it could be anything. All we know is that the blanks are attracted to it. That's why we have teams patrolling different areas of the Karakura to look for any large groups of blanks. So it's like we just have to wait until they find anything substantial. Senna said, finishing her meal. What are we going to do if we find this rock or the people behind that? What's happening? take the Shininju into protective custody, probably. Ichigo guessed, taking a drink as he thought. As for the people behind this, stop them from doing anything heinous, and they'll probably be executed if what they're doing threatens society or the world of living. He thought to himself as Senna leaned in closer to him. Am I partnered with you, LT? She asked with an expected smile. Please say yes. You're so much fun, she said, looking at him with a bright smile and puppy dog eyes. I'm never going to win against that, am I? He thought as he felt his will crumble like dry sand. Yes, you and I will be together. I'm supposed to keep an eye on her anyway, so what's the harm? Great, she cheered before pointing at the Ferris wheel. Now let's go on that. Ichigo looked at the ride before sighing. What's with you and heights? He asked, still tired from running around the city while chasing her. It's a good vantage point to see around the city, she said, surprising Ichigo with a reasonable answer. Plus, I like being way up high. Everything just gets clearer, you know? She jumped down before pulling Ichigo up and hugging onto his arm. Besides, it's a great way to end the date. Ichigo's head shot up in surprise. Since when did this become a date? He asked, his face turning red from embarrassment. When you caught me, remember? She answered, tapping him on the nose. Ichigo thought back and remembered she did say that. Even though you cheated with Chunpo and Reishi platforms, Ichigo gave her a deadpan look. How do I know you didn't use Flash Step to lose me? He asked, making her laugh nervously. Fair's fair, rookie. He teased as she glared past at him. Call me Sienna, she demanded. Then call me Ichigo, he responded, completely calm as they made their way to the Ferris wheel. Once they were on, Ichigo did as she suggested and scanned the area. They reached the top before he noticed something. The once crowded plaza was now virtually empty. Where did the people go? He asked himself. It wasn't too early that everyone would go home, and there wasn't any trace of an accident that would force the people otherwise. He was so lost in thought that he didn't notice Senna staring at the river that cut through the city. Hey, I don't think we'll find out anything new for tonight, she said, a little nervously for Ichigo's taste. Why don't we call it a night and try again tomorrow? She's hiding something, Ichigo thought to himself as they got off the ride. The plaza suddenly full of people again. Yeah, okay, he agreed, making it look like he wasn't suspicious. Head back to the barracks and we'll try again tomorrow, he thought, feeling her run off in a different direction before using Shimpo. Time to find out what you're hiding, he thought as he gave chase, unaware that the people began to disappear again. Graveyard. She headed straight for the graveyard in the city, memories of her family, of their funerals playing through her head as she wandered among the shrines and tombstones. She remembered the priests chanting prayers, her parents grieving her death, and the mourners offering solace to each other. She was so lost in the jumble of memories she didn't notice the blanks that suddenly appeared. She screamed as she tried to escape the zombie-esque souls that crowded around her, fear overriding reason as she tried to find a way away from the grabby white souls. That's when she felt an attack coming from above and jumped out of the way. Who are you? She demanded as the man rose from his attack. He was a dark-skinned man with thick lips and wore a green shihakusho and a hakama with a green breastplate inlaid with a dark bronze. He was a large and muscular man, enough to suggest strength but not speed. In his hands were dual chakram blades. You got better reflexes than I expected, the man said arrogantly, rising from his crouch for the next assault. Senna ejected herself out of her body and grasped her sword. Why are you here, and what do you want? She demanded, getting ready to fight herself. The man stood up and moved towards her. I'm going to be your escort, he said, making it clear she wasn't being given a choice. Our commander, Ganryu, has commissioned orders to summon you. She glared at him before coming to the conclusion that they might be involved with Ichigo's investigation. He summoned me, he asked, trying to fish for information. Who is this guy? I've never heard of him. That information doesn't concern you, he said, looking down at her still. So, what are you going to do about it? Jai, she heard someone from behind her say. There were four more people in similar dress as the now named Jai, a small guy with armor framing his face, a purple-haired girl with a red obi and plenty of cleavage, a giant cloth-masked figure with giant clubs, and a slender pale face. I told you not to waste time talking, the small guy said. You should know better than to jump out like that, the woman scolded while Jai just laughed. This'll only take a second, he said confidently as Sienna launched her attack, leaping to deliver a strong swing, only for him to block it. Stop, that tickles, he said before he punched her in the stomach and sent her tumbling away. He followed it up by jumping on top of her while she was still lying on the ground. That's enough of that, she heard a familiar voice say before a fist slammed into the thug's face. She looked up to see Ichigo standing over her protectively. If you have something against a member of my squad, I insist you bring your complaints to me first, he said, getting between her and the would-be kidnappers. Who the hell are you? Jai yelled out, blood leaking from his misshapen nose. Ichigo brought his right hand up, his thumb cloaked in his crimson reiatsu, and then flicked it. In the same instant, Jai's elbow exploded, taking the majority of his arm. Ah! My arm! He screamed in pain as he fell to the ground. Bala de Franco Tirato, Ichigo muttered as he brought his hand down, his thumb smoking from the release of power. Sienna, why aren't you in the graveyard? Ichigo asked, unsheathing his blade while his opponent was writhing in pain. Why don't you mind your own business? She yelled at him as she got up to fight again. Sienna, you're Soul Reaper in the living world, he explained as Jai got back up. That means you're a member of my squad. He flared his Ryatsu, letting the pressure weigh down on his opponents. I never abandoned my allies, he growled as the green-clad warrior faded into shadow one by one. That's a new one, Ichigo muttered as he let up on the pressure. Who's gone with you? Ichigo muttered, recalling the name before his intervention. From behind, Senna tried to sneak away until Ichigo grabbed her opai and held her up in front of him. So I said head back to the barracks, Ichigo scolded the Fuji girls. You apparently heard go to the graveyard, have no backup, and almost get kidnapped. What was so important that you had to come here for? He asked, letting her down so she could stand. My entire family is buried here, she exclaimed, looking nostalgic as she stared at the tombstone. It's a little fuzzy, but I have memories of when I was alive. I just want to see these places to confirm those memories, she said, giving a sad smile. Sorry, I'll head back to the base now, LT, she told him before Ichigo grabbed her again. That's not happening, he said, making her look at him in surprise. Those guys match the description of our main suspects. They just attacked you. You're possibly in more danger. You're going nowhere on your own. She shrunk a little in fear of the hybrid. You're coming with me, rookie. Kurosaki household. So, Masaki said in a deathly sweet tone, how did you charm this one, Ichigo? Ichigo and Senna were standing side by side, most disapprovingly stares with one actually looking serious. His father was the only one that knew immediately what was happening. This is a new member of the squad that recently became a target of a suspect threat of the living world, Ichigo exclaimed, earning a look of relief from the woman in his family. I don't go after every pretty girl I see, Mom, he groaned while Senna introduced herself to the family, blushing the whole while. Hello, I'm Senna, she bowed respectfully. He thinks I'm pretty, and she teased him earlier, but she thought he was being polite. Thanks for having me. I'll go get a bath ready, Yuzu said, happy to help her brother and father. I'll get the bed ready, Karin said, heading for the guest room. Masaki simply whacked Ichigo on the head. That's for not calling that you would be home till late, she pouted. I made such a nice dinner too. She went to Karin while Ichin made a subtle nod to his son. Ichigo led Senna up to his room. You can rest here while we wait, he said, taking a seat at his desk while returning Kon to his stuffed lion body. Boys' rooms are always so boring, she said while taking a seat on his bed. But your family seems nice. My dad was way different. Her expression changed as she reflected on a painful memory. Hey, everything's all right, Ichigo said, snapping her out of her paws. Yep, she said, quickly recovering from the memory. You talk pretty openly about Soul Reaper stuff in front of your family, though. Probably because Dad's the captain of our squad, the one in charge of the world of the living, Ichigo explained. And yes, I earned my position. It wasn't given to me because of my relation. I know, she agreed. The way you handled those jerks at the graveyard was just so wow, she cheered, kicking off her shoes and acting out the events from earlier that night. That reminds me, Ichigo said, recalling the name. The guy said someone named the gun you wanted you. Any idea why? She stopped her playing and dropped back down, sitting on his bed. No idea, she said before pointing an accusing finger at the hybrid. If you hadn't shown up, I could have gotten more information. Or gotten kidnapped like they were trying to do, he said, continuing her argument. Good rule of thumb, if you're unsure about a fight, immediately release your Sanpakuto. There was a knock at his door. He opened it up to reveal his mother. Tell Sana the bath is ready whenever she is. And she said with a gentle smile that was prevalent in his memories. They looked at his bed, only to find Sana already asleep. Ichigo was going to wake her before feeling his mother's grasp on his shoulder. From what you said, it's been a long day. Let her rest. Ichigo returned her smile before they heard movement, finding Senna snuggling into his bed with moans of delight. Ichigo's muffled name was heard. Didn't charm this one, huh? Ichigo's just a natural with the ladies, Masaki, Ishin said, pulling his embarrassed son away from his mother. Look, Ichigo, communications with Soul Society are still down. The entire squad is patrolling the city, and we haven't heard from Urahara yet. I want you to head to Yamamoto's and tell him what's going on, he ordered, ejecting Ichigo from his body again. It's weird when I keep switching between these bodies. Ichigo groaned before pulling open Garganta and jumping through it. He flew through the dark, empty expanse, guided by the glowing road he created for himself, towards a place that felt familiar, his only guide in the infinite expanse between dimensions. He found his destination as he tore open a hole into Soul Society. He came through to the other side and landed in front of Unohana. Once he settled, he found himself in Yamamoto's office with Ukitake and Kyotoku, Unohana, and Yamamoto as they were discussing something. That timing, he asked the collection of the wisest members of the Gotai. We actually sent a runner to find you, Ichigo. Ukitake answered. Do you have any new information you might want to share first? Only that the leader of the guys behind this is named Ganryu, and he wants Senna for some reason. A look of surprise flashed across the faces of Ukitake and Kyoryu. Unahana seemed to steel herself, while the commander let out a tired sigh. After the war with the Quincy, society worked on creating something resembling an ordered government. Genrisai started delving into the past. Most of the stronger noble clans and more sensible captains wanted to have a democratic system, while others tried to rule like rules. One of these clans eventually tried to seize control by force, but was defeated easily. As punishment and an example, we banished them to the principal world, where we thought they would eventually perish. That family was known as the Ryodo clan. Urahara continued in place of Yamamoto, and Ganryu was one of the last remaining members of the main family. We suspect that they've been living as nomads, going from one valley of streams to the next. This was the first time there was ever such a quantity of blanks, so it's suspicious that they're using them to mess with the one between Soul Society and the living world. And what does this have to do with Senna? Ichigo asked the scientist. Utakata was about to answer before a glare from his old teacher kept him silent. Why does he want her? I have an idea, but I need to finish searching the database, Urahara answered smoothly. Since there was a massive influx of recruits, it's taken some time to shift through all the files. For now, continue your mission, Yamamoto ordered. Protect the Shinenju. His young pupil nodded before reopening the Garganta and to return to the living world. How soon, Urahara? He asked the eccentric man in front of him. Urahara pulled out his fan and tapped his chin in thought. But he assured me he'll finish both projects by tomorrow. He answered, already thinking about the possibilities of the joint project they would work on. Illustrated Guide to Soul Reapers. Ichigo's punishment. Now go and make me proud, Masaki told Rankiku, who was clad in a bikini. The strawberry blonde winked confidently to the Quincy as she made her way to the bathroom where Ichigo was taking a shower. Uryu showed up to deliver a report to Ishin about what they found. Masaki Obasan, he asked his distant relative, catching her attention. Ichigo already told me about you in nothing but praise as a gentle person. Why are you essentially torturing Ichigo with this? Masaki gave the boy a teasing smile. I'll show you, Uryu. I have nothing but love for my children, she said just as Ichigo let out a scream. I'll stop when I feel like he's been appropriately punished for becoming such a naughty boy in my absence. Uryu's teenage struggle. Hello, Uri. Mayuri greeted, having restored to the second option of procuring a certain sample he wanted, hunting down the Quincy that had access to whatever at the Kurakara hospital. I was wondering. Ichigo already told me what you wanted. Uryu quickly responded, and no, we do not have any of what you're looking for at the Kurakara hospital, you sicko, he said, not letting Mayuri finish. And damn, the skeletal man cursed, fishing out the photo of his daughter from his pocket. This whole venture was a waste of my time. He was about to tear up the provocative picture with a furious abandon before he noticed a blush on the Quincy's face. You want them? What are you fidgeted? Memories of when he was almost assaulted by the girl flashed in his mind. He couldn't deny that she was certainly attractive, though. How much? The Quincy asked, caving into his teenage hormones. Marjorie looked intrigued. Are you suggesting that I'm so depraved that I'd sell erotic pictures of my daughter? He growled at the human. Because if so, 2,000 con for the lot. Up front, he said, calming down instantly. Would you begin to pull out his wallet? End of chapter 36.